Hello, friends. Welcome to the Logistics of Logistics podcast. My name is Joe Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is real world supply chain AI applications with Gather AI's Sankalp Arora. How's it going, Sankalp?
Oh, it's going good. Beautiful sunny day here in Pittsburgh.
I love it. It's beautiful where I'm at. I just went for a walk. Sankalp, please introduce yourself and your company and where you're calling from today.
I'm Sankalp Arora, co-founder, CEO at Gather AI. In short, I'd say we bridge the gap between operational reality and warehouse management systems. And I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Very nice, very nice. So one more time, you said there's a reality, which is my warehouse. That's the real world. And then I have my WMS. And you said that they don't necessarily match. Please explain.
Oh, yes. All operators out there know this problem where, let's talk about a simple pick process. And you go to pick up a pallet or pick up a case, and the picker says, I can't find the case here, whereas the warehouse management system says it is here, because some error happened while putting away that case. Suddenly that pick becomes 2 to 3 times more expensive than what it needed to be in the first place. And if you can't find the thing that your WMS says is in the warehouse, you actually don't ship the order on time. And all of that happens because warehouses are fast-moving environments, and scan guns and people can only do so much. They're leaky processes that we are running.
So basically, my WMS doesn't match the reality of my warehouse. And you said all operators know that. So there's a gap. And how does Gather AI close that gap?
We actually, in real time, with cameras on drones, cameras on forklifts, and cameras on people and dock doors, digitize the workflows as they are happening and report them and update the WMS, update our dashboards, so you can make decisions on what's actually happening in the facility, not what is supposed to happen, which is what your WMS says.
Yeah, interesting. So talk a little more about, you said, so you're digitizing my warehouse. Talk more about that.
Oh, so let's talk about the journey of to keep it simple, of a pallet in a warehouse. The pallet is on a truck connected to a dock door, is lifted by a forklift, put on a staging area. Another material handling equipment takes it from the staging area to put away. From that, it goes to a pick location. Another material handling equipment picks it, puts it on outbound, and then ships out. Each of those workflows today are being monitored by people scanning manually, and as a result are leaky processes. We put our software powering commercial off-the-shelf cameras on forklifts, on dock doors, and on drones, so that each of these pick, outbound, inbound, staging, and replen processes are captured on camera, while capturing where a thing was picked up from, where it was put away, how many cases were there, what were the dimensions, was it damaged or not. And all of those dimensions then tell you what's actually happening in your warehouse by digitizing.
Very nice, very nice. And again, this is not esoteric. What happens if I'm in an e-commerce facility and I get an order by 2, it has to ship out that day by 5. And if I go to a bin and I say, I'm supposed to find a blue sweater and all that's in this bin is a red sweater, now I have to go, where are the blue sweaters? They're supposed to be here, but it isn't. And an error has been made, but you might not have time to chase it down.
And even if you chase it down, you spend a bunch of extra money chasing it down, and most likely ship it late for the customer. The thing is, the error happened in the first place because that blue sweater was put away somewhere where the warehouse management system didn't record, or was picked up and the warehouse management system didn't record it. Otherwise, you would have just found it there. We,
Yep.
as things move, we are tracking them in real time through the equipment or people that are moving them. So that is almost impossible to happen when you digitize all the work.
I like it. I like it. So, Sankalp, I notice you're in your office today, and I can hear a drone ever so slightly in the background flying around. When I first met you, I was absolutely one of the first things you said to me is, Joe, I listen to your podcast, which I appreciate. And you said, I know you don't like drones. And I said to you, I think, no, I don't have anything against drones. I'm just concerned, will they be flying overhead while I'm walking around? But you said, Joe, my drones are all indoors. And I think it's a very exciting, very sexy business that you have drones. But you guys have come so far since then. So drones was just the first iteration. But when we talked about that, you said they could do inventory. I don't know if you call basically making sure the alignment's done. What do you call that? Taking inventory. They could do it way faster than humans, and obviously the drones can go 30 feet in the air, where I prefer my humans stay on the ground. So talk about some of the efficiencies you get with Gather AI.
Right. So with our new iterations of drones that are all American made, we actually get 25x faster inventory counting than manual methods.
Whoa, 25 times faster. Yeah. So the way we might have done inventory if you didn't have this is I would say, Joe, Sankalp, please come in on the weekend. We'll pay you overtime and you can do inventory management. You can make sure everything's right. Humans aren't built for that. We have to climb up on lifts or ladders. And on top of that, it's monotonous. I'm guessing, more errors with humans.
Absolutely. Not only it's monotonous, not only there are more errors, it's way slower. So you don't know what's actually sitting in your warehouse at any given time other than what your WMS tells you. And maybe WMS is lying to you, let's say 5% of the time. That has a real impact on the operation, because essentially you're talking about delaying or spending more than 5% of the orders you fulfill.
Yeah, when you say 5% off, that's like saying, okay, if my count is 5% off, let's just say I'm going to miss some number of orders that day. They came in at 2:00 and you said that has to go out by 5 and it's not going to go out. And I get dinged. This is a real world thing. This isn't, this is something we track. We'll come back to all that in a minute. So Sankalp, please tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Some career highlights before you started Gather AI. And then why did you found Gather AI? Because I think this is such an interesting, novel business. I don't know I'm curious how you got here.
Yeah. So I was born and brought up in Delhi, India, and did my undergrad there from Delhi University, Delhi College of Engineering. Did my master's and doctorate in robotics at Carnegie Mellon, and was fortunate enough to get to be a part of the team that built the world's first fully autonomous helicopter. And it was half of my thesis. And I remember it because it's a childhood dream come true to work on something as amazing as that. We were standing in FBI training grounds in Quantico, and this helicopter that, part of it my software is controlling, comes in, lands, avoids a few wires, avoids a hay bale that it's kept, and lands itself and blows a bunch of snow. There are 5-star Army generals behind me. And it had built a beautiful 3D map of the environment it had just covered. And it stayed with me that robots are such exceptional physical data gathering machines, data in the environments that you and I live with, that if we make them curious, they can have a broader impact on society outside of defense. So I dedicated my PhD to figure out how to make robots curious. That was my thesis essentially. And we won a few national awards for the work we did. And I wanted to make this broader impact in the civil society and started interviewing people on where curious robots can have an immediate impact and make lives better. It's about 175 customer discovery interviews, 100 of them in supply chain. This problem of I can't find stuff, what's already in my warehouse, because there are leaky workflows, just resonated so strongly because it impacted warehouse workers, warehouse management, operation management, and the leadership of all these companies. It made sense to solve the problem, and we knew how to.
Interesting. So when did you found the company?
2018, late 2018, early 2019.
Interesting. And now when you say that, how did you even know this was a problem? I mean, you mentioned the autonomous helicopter. How did you know that there is a problem in warehousing? I feel like the warehousing business was so sleepy until maybe a decade or two ago. And now all of a sudden there are these high-tech centers with companies like Gather AI digitizing them. How did you find this?
So the customer discovery process, interviewing those 175 people, I was talking to people from all different industrial domains and applications to understand where our technology can have the most impact. And that's how I stumbled. The first interaction with this problem was a manager in the retail store. The second interaction was a global operations manager, Simon, at Dinata, which is the third largest air cargo company in the world. And both of them said exactly the same thing. And I was like, oh, there might be a pattern here. And then I talked to 100 more supply chain professionals to understand what the problem is.
Yep. So I want to talk a little bit about the industry challenges that we have right now. I know you guys know them better than I, but I'll start. Warehousing companies are the back end of e-commerce. So e-commerce companies are driving traffic to their websites. They're doing the creative piece. They're very good at moving you from their website to a purchase. And most of those companies have to hire somebody to do the what I say is the messy part, the difficult part, which is the managing the inventory and getting it out. All of us have this expectation now that I ordered it, I should get it pretty quick. Sometimes it's same day, sometimes it's next day, but the idea that it could be a week or two is totally, totally out of bounds now. So warehousing has had to really grow up as e-commerce grew up. And it's not just e-commerce, because when I talk about providing warehouses for, say, stores, retail, which has always been there, that has gotten a lot more difficult also, because everybody's trying to be a little leaner on the inventory. When you're carrying a whole bunch of very expensive inventory, you got to make sure it's moving. And especially now with the tariffs going on, and these retailers are competing against e-commerce companies. So sometimes they are e-commerce companies, but it just feels like the bar for the warehouse has just risen and risen and risen as e-commerce, retail. I'm an automotive guy originally. We would look at our warehouses with such a demanding eye. We would just say, why is there inventory here? Why do we recognize inventory as a carrying cost? But worse than that, changes happen. So I have 100 of this widget sitting on this shelf. It's going to be shipped. Well, wait, there was a change. Now I throw those 100 out. And you realize after a while, if I can keep 10 widgets, I have less parts being thrown out every year. So anyway, the bar is much higher. Plus, you don't mind me saying this, labor has become a real challenge. This is not always an easy job to go into a warehouse. I have daughters. I saw how different they were in the workforce. Now, they're both great workers, don't get me wrong, but they have higher expectations. How do we attract people to the warehouse to do very difficult jobs? So anyway, enough of my blather. Talk about some of the challenges that you guys see in the warehouses, not related to just the problem you guys solve.
Yeah. Actually, I'll zoom out first to say how this impacts organizations, the challenges in warehouses. Because you're right, warehouses historically have been an overlooked part of supply chain, where it's almost always been thought of as a cost center. Uh, I forget the study in which I read this, but it said a retailer, depending on how good or bad their warehouses and inventory keeping is, has either 5% of their annual revenue or 15% of their annual revenue in warehouses as inventory. Which means if a retailer is selling $5 billion worth of widgets in a year, there's a whether their warehouses operations are good or just okay, they're carrying $500 million of extra inventory in their warehouse. And that doesn't even include the carrying costs. So the thought process has changed on how to think about warehouses from cost centers to how do I really run an operation that can meet my customers' demand, as you mentioned. As a result, the pressure of on time in full has like, oh, if you do 85 to 90% on time in full, it used to be that you're okay as a warehouse. But now you have to be fairly close to 99.99 to make your customers happy. So the and what has happened as a result, the jobs in the warehouse are really high pressure, and people are willing to pay substantially more who have higher margins. So someone like Amazon can pay substantially more to warehouse labor, but then they're moving 15 miles to 20 miles a day and walking in there. The churn rate in some of the facilities we serve is about 150%. So they're going over their full workforce at least once a year, if not 1.5 times. At the same time, the customer demands keep rising on how quickly the orders need to be fulfilled. And consumer habits, your and my habits, keep saying that, oh, the delivery needs to be next day or in next 2 days, otherwise I'm not buying from you. Combine all of that with the infrastructure, which doesn't move at the speed of electrons, is still the old infrastructure that is designed for a slower supply chain. So it's not, as a result, all warehouse operators I talk to, in a lot of cases, all director and VP supply chains I talk to, are running in reactive mode from fire to fire instead of being strategic and being able to plan.
Sankalp, if I could add this in, it's a little off topic, but I think it's interesting. If you looked at Costco, one of my favorite stores, Costco has very few SKUs, much less than, say, a Walmart. Walmart has a ton of SKUs. Aldi, the fastest growing grocery store, a lot fewer SKUs. Trader Joe's, fewer SKUs. And I don't think those are accidents. I think those companies recognize how difficult it is to manage inventory. But if you're Walmart or if you're Amazon, you say, I don't have a choice. That doesn't fit our model. We have everything under our roof that we sell. So they need, and if I'm an automotive guy, you can't say, oh, we have a parts warehouse and we carry most of the repair parts. No, you got to carry all of them, and there's thousands.
Yeah, and it's thousands of SKUs that need to be delivered in double time, essentially.
Yep. So anyway, getting back to this one more time, what problem do you guys solve, and who are you solving it for?
So I think, as I explained at the top, that's the most intuitive way to think about it. We let your operations make decisions on what's exactly happening in the warehouse. So all the facilities that buy us and operations that buy us, they buy us to increase their on-time in full percentages. We reduce on-time in full percentages on an average by 50 to 60%. The errors in on-time in full. And we reduce errors in inventory placement by about 70 to 80%, so that they can increase warehouse throughputs while reducing the pressure on the labor.
Yep. So let me use an example just so I can better understand how you're helping me. Let's just say I work in a warehouse and I put something in the wrong bin. and a camera captures that. So a Gather AI camera captures that, whether it's on a drone or on a forklift or on a wall, dock, wherever, captures that. How does it communicate that to management and to me that Joe put the red sweater in the blue sweater box?
So the operator has a screen that goes red that you're not supposed to put it there, and they can make a corrective action. But what we have discovered is there is also a lot of tribal knowledge in these facilities where, yeah, the system says otherwise, but the operator knows for whatever reason it's the right place to put. So they can override it if they want, or if the management doesn't want us to let them override, they don't. That erroneous transaction is reported all the way up to our web dashboards where we can run analytics on it, suggest optimization, suggest who needs to be trained. But on the other side of the spectrum, that erroneous transaction, even though erroneous, WMS knows about it. And it knows that that error was made, so that when someone goes to pick that red sweater, they are sent to the right place, even if the transaction was erroneous.
So you said, I'll see red. I start to put the red sweater into the blue sweater box, and where do I see red? Where do I get? No.
If you're a forklift driver, you see it on the screen that we put on the forklift. If we are an ICQA manager, you see it on the virtual walkthrough that we provide.
What is ICQA?
I'm so sorry. Inventory control and quality assurance. So if you're an inventory control and quality assurance manager, you see it on a web dashboard that this erroneous transaction happens, and you can see an image of it on your computer.
So inside of my warehouse management system?
Inside of our dashboard.
Okay. All right, good. So,
because warehouse management systems are not designed for images. They're not designed for the transparency.
No, I understand. That's why I was asking. I know. So I more or less have a dashboard that tells me where the discrepancies are. Now, otherwise, I would have that inventory control QA guy and maybe a team constantly trying to update or fix the problems that occurred during a very fast-moving shift where thousands of things got shipped out and other stuff got put in bins. Every one of those mistakes I can understand because of the speed and the chaotic nature of the tight deadlines that everybody's living with.
Yes, and that team that is supposed to go and run around in a warehouse and find these errors never has the bandwidth or the ability to catch all the errors because the environment's moving so fast.
And I don't know if this is still a problem, but I know turnover is often a problem in warehouses. It's a very difficult job. And, you know, if you don't think you're going anywhere there and you say, why am I here? I think this is an additional good reason you want to get technology in your warehouses, because not only will it make you faster, better, cheaper, I think young people who are going to go work in these facilities say, yeah, I'm using lots of cool tech. And I see myself as part of the supply chain. I'm not just a strong back who can walk 15 miles a day.
Absolutely. I think as companies look towards AI transformation, so do individuals. All individuals joining the workforce right now want to use AI and be AI forward in one way or the other.
So I want to move on for just a moment. And I want to talk about, I have a few case studies. And by the way, all these case studies we'll put a link to in the show notes. So we're going to talk about some case studies about some successes you guys had. So the first one is about NFI, a big outfit. So what was the problem at NFI? Why did they finally return Sankalp's sales guys' emails and phone calls? What was the problem they told you about?
They had a very specific customer. I won't name the customer, but that was moving. The whole warehouse was turning over 4 times in 6 months. So it's moving really fast.
Well, for those who don't do it every day, what do you mean turning over 4 times in 6 months?
So everything in the warehouse that was coming in was, I think on an average, was out of that warehouse in 1.5 months. So the whole inventory turns 4 times in
And
6 months.
by the way, more turns is more attractive, just like in a retail location.
Absolutely. More turns means you're pushing out more volume of goods.
Okay, continue on.
And they were using cherry pickers, which are little forklifts on which people ride to pick from each and every location. Given the environment was moving so fast, they were spending a lot of money because they couldn't afford to be erroneous because things have to go out so quickly. They were spending a lot of money on keeping the environment error free on their inventory control and quality assurance team. And still, they were losing pallets and misplacing pallets within the warehouse.
So they're putting them in the wrong place when they arrived.
Yes. They're putting them in the wrong place, and once you go to pick them, you don't find them. And then the inventory control team, despite spending significant amount of it, way more than normal warehouses, is just not able to keep up. So it's a problem that is made for if you digitize your workflows, those errors disappear. That's where we came in.
And so, do you have quantitatives on this? I mean, qualitatives on?
Yeah. So we reduced their inventory taking time by 75%. Annual hours for taking inventory for their team were 4,400, and they got dropped to just 800 hours. And in those dropped hours from 4,400 to 800, they were taking inventory of 3 times more number of locations.
Nice.
Yeah, and the pallets that were lost, their turnaround time in finding those pallets was on the order of days. Now it got reduced to the order of minutes. So which means their skip picks started getting resolved in minutes and not days. So their on time in full as a result increased. Not to say at the last, they were able to cut equipment that people were using to just take inventory or to do and track these mispicks, but also make people safe because people didn't have to run around on these lifts going up on heights to take inventory.
Yes, exactly. I'm from automotive originally, and many moons ago when I started in automotive, we had inspection processes. So we would build a car, and at the end of the assembly line, they would inspect it. And everybody did it that way. And then I think the Japanese were the first to realize that you can't inspect quality into a product. It has to be part of the process. And warehouses are still kind of, many of them, in the mode of, I need to inspect it to get it back to where it belongs. And I think what you guys are saying is you can't inspect the quality. It's a cost that you have to go back. And it was a major mindset shift. We also saw it in the Food Safety Modernization Act, which a lot of, which came out under President Obama. It said, no longer are we going to do inspections. We're going to improve the process, and we're going to monitor the process. So, and then prove that we're monitoring the process. And then if we have a good process and we're monitoring it and we have control of it, we don't have to worry about inspections. And I think what you guys are kind of doing is you're helping companies get out of that mindset of inspections, because inspections are expensive. And I think, maybe they're called inventory audits or something inventory control, but it's still an inspection that is done after the fact.
And it makes you reactive.
Yeah. And we all know proactive is better than reactive. And so you're saying, I'm going to help you guys not put stuff into the wrong place in the first place. I'm going to help you not put the red sweaters on top of the blue sweaters.
Absolutely. And I meet a lot of professionals in the industry that share this viewpoint that they want to be proactive. But AI and physical intelligence was not there yet to let them be proactive and digitize their workflows in a cheap enough, in a cost-effective enough fashion. Now it is there, so that wave is taking over warehouse operations.
Yeah, I love it. this is a technology that we should be using. And I should also point out, not only are we going to save money, I think we're creating better jobs in the warehouse. If you can be proactive, it means I can start to plan my day a little better. The nature of inspections and audits after the fact, after the mistake has been made, if I was the one that made the mistake, now I'm there with my boss having to explain to the inventory control manager why I did this, why I made this mistake. And sometimes maybe I feel like, hey, I feel at risk in my position. I don't want to point out that I made a mistake. Or I work with Sankalp. I don't want to point out that he made a mistake. I'm going to hide it. We've all had jobs where you didn't feel necessarily good about that kind of thing. And we take that away, where you say, Joe, we're going to help you do your job better, so later on you don't have to explain why you made a mistake. Again, this is these people. I've been in enough warehouses. These people are flying around. They are busy all day. This is not like a lot of us who sit at a desk and can find ourselves scrolling on Instagram. This is go, go, go.
Yes, and just take it a little bit further. One of our other customers, Langham, and now we offer a solution in freezer. So all of what you said, but doing it in a -10 or -20 Fahrenheit environment. It's just, at some point, it's just not humane. And I think being able to help people getting out of those environments and instead sending technology out is exactly how technology should play a role in our society. And we are glad that we can be a part of that. In making lives easier, something we got to be a part of, and as an inventor of the tech has been so gratifying, is given the ease of use of robots, taking inventory, robots not letting mistakes happen. For the first time, we are in partnership with Bosma and Austin Lighthouse. We are giving the opportunity for visually impaired people to hold quality assurance jobs and inventory control jobs.
Wait, go back on that. So the company's name Bosma?
Yes, BOSMA. And it's an extraordinary organization, mostly employees, people with visual impairment, led with people with visual impairment. And most of them are visually impaired because they have lost their sight in the service of the country.
Oh, wow.
Most of them are veterans. And it's just amazing to see them in action. And now they're employing visually impaired people to do even counting jobs, and we get to be a little part of that. And that's been, as an inventor and having a humane impact, has been very gratifying for me and humbling.
Well, yeah, and this is taking a very difficult job. The warehouses that has a lot of difficult jobs, and you're making it easier. So we have a problem with trucking right now, with it, which is, people always say we have a driver shortage. More than anything, we have a utilization challenge. They're not driving enough hours. But we also have people constantly quitting the business because we have not been able to make it into. By the way, some truck driver jobs are great. Many are not. And people say, you know what, if you're willing to do this kind of work, there's lots of companies that are looking for people who are willing to work that hard. Warehousing, by the very nature of it, you're going to lose people when they get to a certain age. They're going to say, look, my back hurts. And I was at a conference last week, just walking around for the day. After a while, it's like walking on cement. Oh man, I had my Hokas on. My back still hurt. It took some time. And so I heard somebody say this on my podcast. We're talking about warehousing. They said there was a large company. They said, we've never had somebody retire from our warehouse. Yeah, that's because it's a very difficult job, and what you guys are doing is making it much easier. So getting back to these visually impaired people at Bosma, How what is job are they doing, and how is Gather AI allowing visually impaired people to be there?
The job they're doing is of, again, finding mistakes of placement of inventory in a warehouse. And it's very challenging for someone with visual impairment to find those mistakes effectively because you rely on your eyesight a lot to do that. What we have been able to do is given them a bunch of flying cameras to do it on their behalf, and then they can review the mistakes that have been made on screens by zooming in and using tools that support people having visual impairment using computers to actually provide productive error correction.
Right. It's fascinating, man. But this is what the technology has to be able to do for us. It has to make these jobs more attractive. We also, when we say there's a labor shortage, it means we can't have anybody sitting on the bench. And now all of a sudden, I say I can bring people who traditionally had no ability to work in a warehouse, and now give them a job. And I suspect this is not Bosma's goal, I don't think. But I suspect if you can give somebody who's visually impaired a job and give them some purpose, they're not going to leave. they're going to say, this is a great job. Thank you very much.
So, and just clarifying, because I think I owe it to the Bosma team because they gave us this opportunity. Their whole organization is built around training their team members for jobs in intralogistics, and then they help place them outside of Bosma. So it's really a service to the industry. And so as a result, it's not just that their team members are holding jobs there, they are getting trained for the outside world.
There you go. Well, so it's like a workforce development company. I like it. I like it. So if somebody's listening and they say, yes, I have some problems at my warehouse. We are not meeting our metrics. We're not meeting our goals when it comes to on time. I don't know what exactly, they don't say on time in full like the retailers, but they have an expectation that you're going to get it by 2, ship it by 5. If I'm not meeting that, I don't know what the number is. What is the number? What's the range that you typically see?
Oh, in terms of the goal. So some warehouses do it really well, where they are doing, I do 10,000 pallet turnaround and I only miss it by 2%. And some warehouses do, I do 1,000 pallet turnaround and I miss it by 10%.
Yeah. So let's just say I'm on that 10% and I'm unhappy. They call you. What does this process look like when you guys engage with somebody? Walk us through that.
First and foremost ethos that all of us have is to really understand the customer's problem. So we understand their operations, map them out on a video call, understand their layout, understand what they're shipping, and the exact use case. Once we analyze that use case and present that we think we can help them out, which is mostly the case, either by proactive data gathering or reactive, we present the solution to them and then do a site visit where we demonstrate a solution to them. Then, with the customer, there's a business case and ROI built together that both of us sign off on, decide on service level agreements for how our product should perform, and then go and deploy. The whole process from the start to finish of deciding usually takes about 4 to 5 meetings. And the process of signing on, we are going to deploy, to a product being live only takes a couple of weeks, depending on our calendar availability.
Yep. So is there training involved in this?
Oh, so that's fascinating. You can use the product if you know how to use a smartphone. Yeah. So the training involved when we come and deploy it to your site, we stay back and shadow your users for a couple of days as they get comfortable with it, and just leave the site in touch and base with you on a weekly basis.
So, in effect, you have to go into a warehouse that is, fairly large. Are you guys putting like QR codes up on the walls and on the shelves so I can track, or are you using existing information that they might already have on their shelves?
It's a combination. We use existing information and also sparsely place our tags at different places, but that's the only thing that we put in your warehouse, and the only thing we change is put a sticker on your racking. We don't need any Wi-Fi connection. We don't rely on external lighting, so that the solution is really made for brownfield warehouses.
So, in effect, you're creating a digital twin of my warehouse.
Digital twin, and historically, those digital twins have been dated. Where it's like, oh, I know the layout of my warehouse. Our digital twins are live, where it says how things are moving live in your warehouse by the second.
So if I move a rack, it captures that. If I move where I park my forklift, it captures that.
Yes, or even if you move that red sweater, it captures that red sweater movement live.
Well, during COVID, I started hearing the term digital twin, and I think all of us see the value in it. Initially, I was thinking it was all be about future scenario planning, where I say I can kind of use all this information. I didn't think we could be super proactive with it, but the scenario planning would allow us to be a little proactive with it, where you say, hey, if I have an event like COVID, will my supply chain be okay? But this is allowing up to the minute, up to the second, proactive solutions to problems. So you're basically preventing the problems from happening in the first place. And again, I think of it as the mindset shift from inspection and reactive to we improve the process so we don't have to inspect as much.
Yeah, it's the feedback loop between things happening and your decision making to them. Usually that feedback loop has taken 2 or 3 months, even with digital twins. Our feedback loop reduces it to, you can make intraday decisions on things that are happening, or let our AI make those intraday decisions for you.
Yeah, and so we talked a lot about e-commerce. Are you working also with retailers and other type of? So not every warehouse is an e-commerce warehouse, and they're very different. One might have lots of less than truckload and truckload shipments. Another might have 10,000 small parcels ship out on a given day.
So we serve both. We serve B2B retail businesses or B2B raw goods businesses, and we serve e-com retail where you're shipping out eaches. And right now our facility count split is I would say about 40% B2B businesses, 40% retail businesses, and the rest 20% is manufacturing and air cargo site.
So one more time, who's your ideal customer and what problem are you solving for them?
Our ideal customer is someone who's having intralogistic space, who's turning over inventory at least once 6 months, and has roughly an area bigger than 50,000 square feet to store the inventories. So there's sufficient volume. Specifically in, I would say, B2B delivery, be it spare parts or be it deliveries to food, because we work in freezer, or in retail environments.
And then what problem are you solving for them?
For them, the problem we are solving is bridging the gap between what their WMS says and what actually happens in the warehouse, so that they can increase the throughput of their warehouses, increase on time in full, while reducing the pressure on their labor.
There's this term, sometimes I hear people use this first principles. You hear Elon Musk say it, which is really, I believe, understanding the problem What is the actual reality? Not what I think, not emotion, but what is the reality? And the problem we have with warehouses, and it's not just warehouses, it's probably anywhere where there's physical goods, is there's what's in my system, which is 95%, maybe 98%, but it's never exactly reality. I want it to be reality. I show my customers it as if it's reality, but it's never reality. And you guys are helping people bridge the gap between what's reality, what's in the warehouse, what's in the physical world, and what's in the digital world, closing that gap and making them much more money.
Absolutely. And not just money, I think money is one part of it, also making their lives much more stress-free.
Well, I'll tell you, in an assembly plant where I come from, you always have to worry about, are the workers, is there safety problems? Are there morale problems? If you have morale and safety problems, if you have people who are going home exhausted every single day and looking for a better job, that is going to become a business problem very quickly. So there's a reason we talk about morale and safety. If somebody gets hurt at work, somebody says, why the hell am I putting up with this? I saw somebody fall off a ladder today. I saw somebody 3 stories up counting parts. Why am I here? So we used to kind of think of it as, oh, I'm going to be a cold, hard businessman, and I don't worry about the morale. I don't worry about the safety. Those things cost us money.
Yeah, and I think people sometimes forget businesses are for people, not the other way around.
Yeah, I think also all of us want to go to work and say, yes, the jobs I'm providing to these people are great jobs, and I take care of my people. A lot of times we're thinking, these are my people. I got to take care of them. I want them to stay here and be happy. Sankalp, since I have you here, where's the future for this stuff? So I talked to you, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and it was very fascinating with the drone discussion. But now you guys have come a long way. What's next? What's on the horizon for you guys?
As we digitize each of your workflow in the warehouse, I think as we become the source of truth of what's happening in your warehouse, in your operations, you will see a team of AI agents from us working on that data and making decisions on your behalf or making you recommendations on how to improve your warehouse on a day-to-day basis. And as we deploy across a network, you'll see our agents, AI agents, doing that at a network level. So suddenly, the digitization of your workflows will lead to automatic optimization using generative AI techniques.
Wow. So how long do you think that is? How far out is that?
Oh, our first product release on that line is this quarter.
Whoa, that's fantastic. So when I first met you and we talked about drones, my first thought is, oh, okay, this is a drone maker. And then you said, no. And then I thought, it's cameras. And as I've gotten to know you more and more and know your company more, and by the way, I did an interview with Andrew Hoffman not so long ago from your team. You start to realize this is an AI company, and it's in the title today, obviously, but it feels like sometimes AI gets put on the top line, but is it really the product? I think right now every .com is becoming a .ai, but there's good reason that companies like yours are deploying it.
Absolutely, and I don't think our product exists if advances in AI didn't exist.
Yep. So, Sankalp, I am going to, by the way, I always used to call you Sankalp. You finally corrected me and said it's Sankalp.
All good, Joe. Thank you for caring for it.
So I'm going to summarize what we talked about. Then I want your final thoughts on the topic. So I'm talking to my friend Sankalp Arora, and we're talking about real-world supply chain AI applications. And we're talking about what Gather AI does. And Sankalp is one of the founders of Gather AI. And so, in short, we have warehouses that have discrepancies that don't match our warehouse management system. That gap could be small, it could be big, but it costs us money, because if stuff is put in the wrong place, at some point that's going to show up in my pick metrics. I can't do my job if stuff is not in the right place. Also, when we talk about the auditing and the inventory management, it's a laborious job. It's a dangerous job. If I have to have people get on a lift and go and check all of these parts, all these bins, I should say, and make sure there's all the product is in there, it takes a long time. It's not necessarily good human work. Instead, we can have Gather AI's drones or other products going and doing this work. And I think they're doing it way, way faster, way less expensive. Plus, they're doing it better. And I think it's just, we want to put our humans to work on human work and put our technology to work on the stuff that the tech is better at. I think also, we're everywhere in the world, we're moving from reactive to proactive. And that means that we have processes in place that are correct, that give us the output we want. If you're inspecting, you can't inspect quality. And we've learned that across all the major industries that do manufacturing. It applies to warehousing also. Inspection's still necessary, but if you get to a place where you say, we have Gather AI that's helping us not make the mistake in the first place, we're now being proactive. Our processes actually work. And we could get to a place where we say, hey, the gap between my warehouse management system and my reality is negligible. It's no longer slowing my team down. The e-commerce companies are working with, they all have the option to work with Amazon. Amazon is getting better every single day. Warehouses either get better or they go away. I think the expectations have gone sky high. We're all consumers. We know how sky high it is. I'm still shocked when I order something and it says it'll arrive same day. I was like, I don't even need it same day, but it's kind of cool. I heard a comedian not so long ago say, soon it'll just be, I thought about it and now it's in my hand. That's how quickly this is all happening. But anyway, you guys are helping them close the gap between what's actually in my warehouse and what's in my warehouse management system, and making the work of a warehouse much easier, much more proactive, faster, better, cheaper, safer, a better job for the humans. And we went over a few case studies. We talked about NFI, we talked about Langham Logistics, and last but not least, we talked about, was it Basma? Yeah. We'll make sure we put a link to in the show notes about all of those case studies. Anyway, Sankalp, put a big old bow on this one. Final thoughts on the topic.
As supply chain operators, especially as leaders, as you're looking to provide better services while having a faster throughput in warehouses, while dealing with all this labor pressure and the dynamism of how much stock you need to keep because you're unsure of the tariff situation, the superpower that any of us has in today's age is having information and knowledge about what's the ground truth. And that's what we offer. And we offer that to retailers, to e-commerce suppliers, to 3PLs, to manufacturers and air cargo operators and food and cargo distributors. Because that knowledge transfers to decision making, and that's how you can run a better operation. You can discover more on our website at gather.ai.
Yep. I'll make sure I put a link to your LinkedIn profile, link to your website, any other links you and your go-to-market team give me, including the case studies. So, Sankalp, what conferences will we see you and the fine folks from Gather AI at in the next quarter or two?
Oh, yes. So if you're wanting to talk about this in person, Good. First of all, always welcome to our HQ in Pittsburgh. You can see the technology in action live. We have a warehouse here. But otherwise, we are going to be at the Gartner Supply Chain Planning Conference end of this year and this quarter in Denver. And we are going to be at Manifest in Vegas in late Jan or early February. And then you'll see us at Modex, of course.
I love it. I love it, Sankalp. I love what you're doing. And I always love catching up with you. You guys are doing fantastic work over there. I think it's so important. Again, the challenge, I think, in our space is not only do we have to get better, but we have to create better jobs. We have to attract a smaller workforce that doesn't want to go do mindless work. They don't want to do work that makes them sore and tired at the end of the day. I think you're creating better jobs, but I think also helping warehouse companies deliver on the promises they make.
Absolutely. And I think not just better jobs in terms of the physicality of it, also more traceable, transparent, stress-free environments.
Yeah, oh yeah. And who doesn't want to go and work with cool tech? when you go home and say, yeah, I work with a drone and I work with I'm creating digital twins in the warehouse. Much better job than I'm just a strong back.
Absolutely.
Sankalp, it's always a pleasure.
Joe, thank you so much for having me, and just so much joy discussing this with you.
You're very welcome. And thank all of you for listening to my podcast. Your support's very much appreciated. Until next time, onward and upward. You have been listening to the Logistics of Logistics podcast, where we engage with leaders in the logistics and supply chain community. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave us a nice review on Apple or Spotify or wherever else you listen. Also, please check out our videos on YouTube and connect with us on LinkedIn. We're very big on LinkedIn. And you can also reach us on the logisticsoflogistics.com, our website.